This is strictly creative, and today Garmamie takes you inside one of Ottawa's most thought-provoking exhibitions.
And I was displaying a work in progress. And so the piece is about grief. And I had this one lady come in and I was explaining to her like the outfit and what my plans are and like all this stuff. And then she just got like very, very emotional all of a sudden. I was like, oh, are you? And then she was like, I just want you to say like this is like very meaningful work, like keep doing it. Like I just lost my husband and like this like is like so relatable. Like I understand completely and it's just like yeah. So it's just like having that effect on someone and like them seeing it as a positive and being able to relate and kind of see what their feelings feel like. It kind of helps you digest it and have this other perspective on it.
You should consider visiting the Ottawa Art Gallery's exhibit, Endless Becomings, Explorations in Contemporary Art. This exhibition brings together 11 artists who challenge how we see, feel, and understand transformation. Personal, cultural, emotional, and artistic. One of those artists, whose voice you've heard in the opening, is Leigha Stiles. Born in Pembroke, Ontario, Leigha is a multidisciplinary artist whose practice spans wearable sculpture, performance art, painting, printmaking, and new media. Her work dives deeply into the physical and emotional experience of mental health, the weight of depression, the pull of seasonal affective disorder, the rawness of self-portraiture, and the vulnerable process of recovery. Garmamie sat down with Leigha at the Ottawa Art Gallery to talk about three of her works, Melancholy, SAD, and I Can't Do This Anymore. Their conversation explores materials, memory, emotional truth, and what it means to make art out of moments you normally hide.
Yeah, so I'm Leigha Stiles. I am a recent graduate from the University of Ottawa, the Masters of Fine Arts program. And so, yeah, have work up at the OAG right now. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Right on. So, Leigha, first question I'd like to ask you is your work deals with mental health. What made you want to explore that through your art?
Yeah, so this is kind of like a long story.
We're here for it.
I guess it would start like in my childhood, really. Like I was 7 years old and then I lost my mom to breast cancer. And so that's been kind of weighing on me most of my life and stuff. And then my fourth year undergrad, I lost my maternal grandma. And so that kind of like sparked up a lot of unresolved grief. And so I didn't cope well because I didn't know much about like mental health and coping strategies and all that kind of stuff coming from like a small town. Like we weren't taught these things, right? And so I ended up having an episode of psychosis. So I landed in the hospital. I was there for 3 weeks during my final semester of school. I was still able to graduate, thank God, because that would have been like a lot to do another year. So then that kind of happened. And then a year later, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. So I just like woke up one morning and then this ambulance crew was like in my apartment. And I was like, what is happening? And then everyone's like, you just had a seizure. And I was like, no way. And then, yeah, I went to the hospital and they're like, yeah, you have generalized epilepsy. And I was like, oh, great. So just kind of like taking that experience and like representing it in a way that is like familiar to me and like kind of lets me talk about it in a way that I don't have to put it to words because I'm not the best like talker about like my feelings and stuff. So like having my artwork there to kind of like think about all these things, digest it and put it into like this piece in a different way, a visual way that kind of can be relatable and like kind of draws attention and makes you think more about the underlying themes of the work. So that's what drew me to put mental health as like my focus in my body of work right now. So
I was just telling you before I hit record and started the interview that when I first saw Melancholy, and we'll get into to that and you can explain to us. I remember feeling like I kind of stopped and just kind of I was frozen because I felt such a she has such a presence in the room, and it really it stopped me, and it grabbed me, and not to talk about myself, but when I love art, all sorts of art, and a lot of the time it's a feeling, and in your work, there's a huge presence there. I felt it. When people see your art, well, you've just answered this question, but I'll still ask it. You don't have to repeat yourself if you don't want to. But what do you hope people feel and think about when they experience this artwork? Because it really is an experience. In my opinion, I think people need to come and experience it. Because you really put it out there, and it's worth the experience. So what are you expecting people feel and think when they see your artwork?
Yeah, so in my master's degree, we focused on art theory and learning a bunch of different theories. And so I landed on affect theory. And so it's just kind of this idea of this sensation and being like from this object or this artwork or whatever. And it's just remaining with you past the point of experience. So you experience the artwork and everything, but then you have this affect where all of this sensations and feelings and emotion, they come outward and like stay with you and then, like make you like kind of ruminate and think like what are these feelings? Why are they happening? Like how can I move forward with this and like sit comfortably knowing like what these feelings are and move forward. So yeah.
Very interesting, because for me, I went home and I thought about Melancholy for a few days. Like it was in my mind. I was thinking about it, and I was wondering why it was here. Like I just had a range of different thoughts that crossed my mind. And speaking of Melancholy, you use soft shapes and heavy weights. What do those materials mean to you?
Yeah, so whenever I'm like thinking about artwork, I kind of like a wearable sculpture. I kind of like break it down into like what I'm trying to kind of express, and then how I can express that through like color, touch, shape, smell, like all these kind of like senses and everything. And so whenever I'm sourcing materials, I have that in my mind. A lot of it I like to repurpose stuff, so I have like old fabric and like old clothing and all that kind of stuff. So for Melancholy, it was fabric I got from my cousin, and then I got pillow stuffing and magnets. And so there's like tiers of fabric. Oh, sorry, with the stuffing filled with magnets, and so it's just like it's there to like weigh me down and kind of give that sense of comfort, but you're like stuck in that comfort. And then for blanketed, that one I used fabric that my mom was gonna use for baby blankets, but she couldn't because she passed away. So I just inherited that, and so I used it in my art piece, kind of to symbolize that blanket, that like comfort you're looking for in your seasonal depression. So
How long did it take to make it, to make her?
it's hard because so it was like a 2-year program. I was able to do 4 wearable sculpture installations, and so it would take me a semester pretty much to do. So it was like 3 or 4 months off and on, but I don't have like a set amount of time that I know what I've worked on it, so it's hard to tell.
What was it like studying fine arts here at the University of Ottawa? What was your overall experience like?
It was really cool to have like guidance and stuff, like learning a lot more about like theory and like visiting galleries, getting insight from like professional like established artists and everything. So like having that kind of guidance and like deadlines and everything like really helped to like drive me to create the work. So it was really cool to just get like a a knowledge base that I wouldn't get anywhere else. Like, that would be so hard to get on my own. Like, find all these people, like, meet all these, like, higher ups, like, in the galleries and stuff. So it's just, yeah, it was a really cool experience.
Do you feel as a creative, do you feel you need to have clear deadlines and deliverable dates when you're creating?
For me personally, it definitely helps. Definitely deadline driven. I'm a procrastinator for sure.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, yeah. And so it's like having that deadline really gives me kind of motivation in the end to get started, like actually do it. Like, that's my biggest challenge right now, is like I'm continuing my wearable sculpture series. But I'm having trouble like actually working on my piece because I don't have like a deadline. I don't have a set location I'm showing it. Like, I don't have anything lined up. And so my goal right now is to get something lined up, and so that it will give me more drive to do the creating.
Do you find that as a creative, do you almost need like a project manager, or in a sense, someone, not necessarily a boss per se, like, obviously you're your own boss, you're creating your art, but in terms of like, hey, someone to remind you of like, hey, we need this by this date, therefore the critical timeline is, what I'm saying, like where they kind of nudge you along in your creative process, and clearly just getting you working and so on.
Yeah, like, that would totally be like helpful and stuff. Like, for me personally, I don't know, like, a lot of people could be their own project manager and like setting stuff up themselves, making their own schedules, like all that kind of stuff. And like, my goal is to be able to do that for myself, but it's hard. Yeah, and I just think I lost my train of thought, but it's definitely something that is a work on of mine. And yeah, I think project manager would be helpful.
I bet, because I think for all procrastinating, like I know what you're saying in terms of that procrastination. Sometimes having, especially on a creative project, having someone to kind of push you along is and push you along in the way that you want to be pushed. You know what I mean? Where they're not like, it's delivered in a way that works for one is essential. I want to ask about SAD, because you mentioned items that belong to your mom, and you move in the video. You move toward the light. Yeah. Can you tell us, what does that moment of reaching forward represent for you?
So that one's based off of seasonal affective disorder. So when I was thinking of like the performance and how I wanted that to go, I wanted to have that bright light set on the one side, and I'm reaching for this light. I'm reaching for the joy, the energy, the motivation that I seek, that I need, that I want, but I'm just being held back by this disorder. So it's just weighing on me, and there's moments where I take the train off and I can move forward and I'm reaching for that light and I'm feeling the light, but then it just draws me back because it's there. It's always going to be there. And so it's just how I move forward and manage it to get to that feeling of the bright light, the brightness. Yeah.
What sort of feedback are people giving you in regards to your work and exploring mental health in a creative milieu?
Yeah, I've had lots of people say they relate like a lot to the work and stuff, and so that's like really like reassuring, because it means that my message, what I'm trying to portray, is coming off the way I want it. So that's like very, very reassuring. And having people kind of explain like their stories, like creating conversations through my artwork is just like, that's something that my goal is by doing this artwork, is to have people talk about these things and not be so taboo, like not kind of hinder how we talk about mental health and make it more normalized. Like, everyone's dealing with something and we just don't know because we don't talk about it. You can't see it, so the only way to know is if you talk. So, yeah.
On that conversation front, I think obviously, like, this art definitely creates that opportunity for conversation. In fact, do you think, like, as you're getting feedback and people are opening up about their experiences and their mental health challenges, and so on, will it inspire more work where you're doing, where you're potentially exploring other mental health illnesses or experiences? Is that something you're potentially going to do?
So with this body of work, it's very confessional artwork in a way. So it's like autobiographical. So it's about my experiences and like basing it off research through like psychology and all that kind of stuff. I don't think I would take like someone else's experience and create artwork, but I do have a lot of shared experiences that when people kind of express their feelings and whatever that come along with it, then it kind of like shapes how I'm thinking about it. So that can kind of morph into the artwork and how I want to have it portrayed. For example, I had an open studio with I'm with the Enriched Bird Artists. So we had our open studio and I was displaying a work in progress. And so the piece is about grief. And I had this one lady come in and I was explaining to her like the outfit and what my plans are and like all this stuff. And then she just got like very, very emotional all of a sudden. I was like, oh, are you? And then she was like, I just want you to say like this is like very meaningful work, like keep doing it, like blah blah blah. Like, I just lost my husband and like this like is like so relatable, like I understand completely. And it's just like, yeah, so it's just like having that effect on someone, and like them seeing it as a positive and being able to relate and kind of see what their feelings feel like. It kind of helps you digest it and have this other perspective on it.
See what their feelings feel like. That kind of, that summarizes it. And I mean, for people who may not understand or like, it's a learning opportunity, right? And when you're hearing this feedback and people opening up, what are you feeling in return? What does the positive feedback mean to you?
I am a big believer on empathy. So we're all human, like we all have experiences and traumas and whatever happened in your lifetime. And so being able to kind of talk to someone and relate to them, it just like builds this kind of empathy and being able to kind of talk to each other on a deeper level rather than just the surface level. Oh, are you good? Like, how are you? It's more like, this is how I'm doing because of this, but I can move forward because of this. So it's good to kind of talk through things. And I feel like building more empathy and being able to relate to each other, like, it's gonna help kind of bring away that taboo subject. Yeah.
What are mental health professionals? Have they provided any feedback in regards to your work? Have they come to you and shared their thoughts?
Yeah, actually at the open studio I had a therapist. She came in and she just was kind of telling me how accurate my work was to everything, and then that was just like a big sense of reassurance. And so that was pretty cool. I have been going through like therapy and like seeing a bunch of different doctors, and every once in a while I'll show a doctor like what I was working on and stuff, and then they always are like, wow, that's like really powerful type thing, like keep that up. So yeah, it's been good feedback, I think.
I can't do this anymore is, the eyes are very powerful. They they just look right through you. Tell us about it. It looks unfinished. Why was it important for you to leave it that way?
So the portraits are unfinished. It's actually kind of a funny story. So
Funny's good. Tell us.
So in my first semester, we have our like final crit where you show your work that you've done and everything. And so I had a portrait that I started and it wasn't finished. And so people are like, well, you can sometimes put like works in progress up on the wall and stuff. And so I was like, okay, I'll just show them what I got. And then my professor, she was like, oh, I thought it was done. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. And then like I was thinking about it more, and it kind of makes sense to keep it unfinished because you're never finished managing your mental health. Like you're always going to be managing that throughout your lifetime. So it's never going to be done. So you have to kind of figure out a way to manage it and move forward with that plan. And so the portraits are actually from images I've taken of myself during like moments of like moments of strife. So I was like crying for whatever reason, and so I take photos, and so I have like a whole album on my phone right now, and so that's the unfinished portraits or raw emotional photos that I've painted. And I actually have one photo that turned out like amazing. It's like brutally sad. Like it looks all like so sad, but it's like amazing how it just like landed, because there's like a tear directly on my cheek, just like right in the middle, like perfectly placed. And it's just like, it was during a stug is what it's called. So it's a sudden temporary urge of grief. And so, like, sometimes the grief just becomes, like, super overwhelming. Like, it's just, like, so, it feels so fresh. Like, it just happened type thing. And so that was that photo. And so I'm going to be using that in my next installation as well.
Wow. How you're this is so deeply personal, right? Obviously, these moments, and you're putting them out there for the world to feel and connect and a bunch of other things. Like, how in those very difficult moments, how do you process the art while you're in that moment? Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's very personal. It's very powerful as well. And how do you do it?
Yeah, so sometimes it can be hard, like, painting my face whenever I'm crying in the picture. But, like, seeing myself cry, it kind of normalizes it in a way, because I don't look at myself in the mirror when I'm crying, right? I don't know what I look like. And so stopping and taking this photo, it's like, oh, okay, like, this is what I look like, and that's okay, right? Like, I can cry. Everyone cries. There's no problem with that. So having this photo there and looking at it, it kind of makes me recognize and see that, okay, crying is okay, and it can be beautiful. And so that's why I like to paint these pictures. It's like crying, it can be very like lonely and like vulnerable, but you don't have to be alone when you're crying. Like, you can always call someone or talk to someone or go see your family or a friend or something, you know? And so showing that this crying is happening, but it can be like seen in so many different ways.
And it's very, like, obviously I'm sitting in the office when I say this, but it's very powerful imagery, but it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing in such an open, transparent way. It's normalizing. Obviously it's starting the conversation for some. Some are already having those conversations, so it's really giving them potential ample opportunity to maybe learn more, but it's brave to do that, right? Did you ever see yourself creating art out of something so deeply personal and for some maybe very kind of like maybe stigmatized and taboos, because in our generation, when we speak about mental health, it's we're way more open to it, I think, right? It's not as it's not as stigmatized. You mentioned you were from a small town where people didn't talk about those sorts of things, but nowadays there's more openness to talk about mental health issues. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I figured if I don't share my story and talk about it, I'm just gonna bottle it up again. And that's how I landed in the hospital. So I figured sharing my story and being brave enough to talk about it, it'll hopefully motivate and help other people to want to do the same. And actually, it was during the vernissage here at the OAG. I had some girl, she came up to me and she was saying how she thanked me for making my artwork and talking about my stuff and my story and everything. And she's like, I want to make stuff, but I'm just so nervous and blah blah blah. And I was like, just do it. There's nothing like it's better to put it out there than think about it and not put it out there. Having it out there in the world allows me to kind of be my authentic self. So I'm not putting on this facade. I'm not saying, okay, my artwork is about XYZ, but really I'm feeling this all the time, right? So it's why would I want to focus on something that isn't as tied to my human experience than something that wouldn't be. So, but I did in my undergrad, I started off I focused mainly on feminism and everything, but that is very personal to me as well. But then the whole mental health journey kind of started, and so that really shifted things. I had a professor in my undergrad, actually. She was I was struggling to figure out what to paint for one of these projects we had, and so she was like, why don't you do something personal? And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And so that really is what sparked me. I think that was my second year or third year. So that really got me thinking oh yeah, my artwork can be personal. It can be directly about myself. It doesn't have to be this external kind of topic. So yeah.
You're what town are you from originally?
I'm from Pembroke.
Okay, so that's in the area here. Have people from your town checked out the artwork?
I actually had a couple buddies. They came and helped me do a kind of experimental video performance during my undergrad or master's. And so that was pretty cool. They came and saw the work in progress and kind of helped build the work. And then I have my best friend from high school. She lives in town, so she's come and seen it. But I haven't had any other people from Pembroke other than my family. So it's, yeah, I don't think they travel to Ottawa, or if they do, they just don't want to go to art gallery. I don't know.
There's no appetite for art in Pembroke? I'm sure there must be.
I think there is, but it's in its growing phase. We'll just say that, because there is a new gallery opening up, I think, an art supply store and stuff. So that's been pretty cool in the valley. It's just I don't know how my artwork would land there, because it's not the traditional kind of fine art paintings.
But even better, it's original. It's very contemporary. It's very relevant. I'm sure it would touch people in that community as it's touched many people here. No.
Yeah. It could totally, because I don't know what people are thinking. So.
Hey, how are you promoting and marketing this art, if you don't mind me asking?
I use my Instagram and Facebook page. So I did do TikTok briefly, but it was just too much. So mainly I have it on Instagram and Facebook, but then I do have my website as well that I try to update.
Are you getting views from different parts of the world when you look at the analytics?
I haven't looked too deeply into those actually, but that would be really cool to see. Yeah, I'm just building up my content again because I kind of fell off after like graduating and kind of like in an adjustment period right now, but I'm starting to make more work, and so I'm starting to post more, so hopefully I can like keep that updated so people can come and like see what I'm doing, right? So, yeah.
Your website, what is it? What's the address?
It's Styles by Styles. Styles, my last name is with an I. So it's Styles by Styles with an I .ca.
You've got an awesome last name considering you're into art and fashion, right? Like, so it's like it's a perfect combination. A few more questions. What inspires you to create even when you're not feeling your best?
That's a good question because that's me right now. Right now, I am struggling hard to get into my studio and like get work done and like do it. And I think a lot of it comes down to the lifestyle change because I'm out of school now and I've been in school like 6 years. So it's definitely a big adjustment. But having this open studio with the enriched bread artists, like it like gave me kind of a new motivation to keep going because people are just so like they react so strongly to the work, and so that's giving me kind of the reassurance I need right now because my imposter syndrome is like sky high right now.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, for real. And so it was good to have that. And then the opening here, like at the OAG, like that was really nice because I saw so many people and got so much feedback. And like, it's hard because like when you have your artwork up, you don't see the people that are seeing your work. So you don't know like what people think unless they reach out and tell you, right? So it's like, it's very hard. So having those kind of events and getting like direct feedback is like very, very nice and very reassuring.
Leigha, have you gotten any bad feedback or someone like, being critical but not constructively? Like, have you heard anything kind of, whatever?
Yeah, I've had people, mainly a professor, just kind of question like why my work would help people if it can like be triggering to some and stuff. And so I kind of saw that as a compliment in a way because my whole goal is to create the feelings that I feel. And so if it's triggering to some, then they obviously have those feelings. And so being able to kind of recognize, oh, I'm feeling this way because of XYZ, it kind of like helps to kind of counter that being like, why would this help someone? It's because you can relate to these things and have like a different viewpoint, because everyone experiences things differently. It's your individual experience, and so sharing mine can like trigger others, but it's not my end goal to like cause like triggers and stuff, but it does kind of show that my artwork is working.
Absolutely. I think it's triggering a conversation. Is it not, right? An opportunity to build empathy and to learn and understand more and realize, as you're saying, we're all humans. We all struggle with whatever we struggle with. So it's, I think art, people will interpret it as is, but I think it's nice to hear the good and the critical, right? When you're making art. One of the other questions I had is, how do new ideas usually start for you? From a feeling, a memory, or something you see around you?
Yeah, ideas. They come mainly, I think, on feelings, and then I kind of relay those feelings into the senses, like I was saying. And so like picking out colors and like textures and all that kind of stuff, it comes down to the feelings and what my kind of topic I want to express. And so what feelings do I feel when I think of this thing? And when I'm thinking of this thing, um, what are these like senses, like the color, the shape, the texture, like what is that? How does that relate to these feelings? Yeah.
Now, Leigha and Garmamie are heading into the Spencerville Gallery at the Ottawa Art Gallery, the space where the Endless Becomings exhibit is on display. This is where Leigha begins describing her work up close.
So tell us what we're seeing.
For sure. So we want to start with Melancholy?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Melancholy is a dress with a hood. It's this kind of gray purple color. There's a little bit of texture on the fabric. And how it's sewn together is there's sleeves attached to a draped big piece of fabric. And along the fabric, there's tiers of fabric stuffed with pillow stuffing and magnets. And so there's like 1, 2, 3, 5 tiers of fabric that go down and they get bigger as they go to the bottom. And so it just becomes this big kind of amorphous dress.
Why does she have a hood?
I decided to cover the face as a way to kind of highlight how we don't see these things, we don't hear them very often, like we don't talk about it as often as like we could type thing. So yeah, just like removing that expression from the face to kind of focus on the sculpture itself.
She has such a presence when you walk around and you turn the corner and you see her. It's like, why do I keep talking about presence with her? How are you interpreting that when this guy who didn't go to art school is talking about your art and he keeps mentioning presence? What does that mean?
I think like having a presence is just being able to kind of draw attention into the room and kind of keep that attention, because nowadays everyone's attention span has like shortened with modern technology and all that kind of stuff. And so being able to like keep that attention, I think, is what draws presence.
While Leigha was describing her work, a few people walked by and paused to look at her pieces. Garmamie noticed their reactions, so he asked them what they thought.
What do you guys think about this? Can I get some opinion on this artwork? Here. Sorry. What do you think? When you first see it, what's the first emotion that comes to your mind? Tell us your name.
My name's Esther. And hi, how are you? To me,
The creative.
oh, really? Okay, I was just going to say it looks like a fashion piece. It looks like something that's supposed to be walking down the runway or present at a fashion show. Because, they really show up with like really interesting and different outfits. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. What inspired you?
So this piece is called Melancholy. It's about major depressive disorder. And so it's tiers of fabric filled with pillow stuffing and magnets. And so that kind of
Weighs you down.
weighs you down. You're seeking that comfort, but you're stuck to it almost. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone's felt that way before. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Vicky. So we're going to move on to the next one, seasonal affective disorder, which I referred to as SAD. Was that like
SAD or SAD.
SAD?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. It's interchangeable.
Tell us what we're looking at.
Okay, so SAD blanketed is what I call this the sculpture itself. It's a jumpsuit made with 2 different kinds of fabric. The fabric itself is white. Both fabrics. One is more of like a sheer with like a texture on it. I use boning to create this kind of deep V at the top.
I'm sorry, what is that?
Boning. It's this kind of how do I describe it? This structure or whatever that you use in corsets.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know how to describe it very well. But there's boning along the top V.
Right. Yeah.
And then in the pants themselves, I have it set so the bottom legs are like kind of like a square, kind of protruding a bit. I was trying to like make it kind of look like a structure, like structural almost, because in the winter you generally want to be inside in a structure, right? And then with the piece, it has a train I made. It's like a backpack almost, so it goes around your arms. There's 3 pieces of fabric. On the fabric, it has vintage weights that I got from my dad.
Those are from the 90s, right?
Yeah. Your classics. And then I have a little hat with 3 pieces of fabric covering the face as well.
Why 3?
3 is technically because there's 3 months of winter.
Right. 3 months of December, January, February?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the weights, does your dad lift weights? Is he
Like those are from like back in the day. Like they were just chilling, and my dad's like, "Do you want them?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll use them in my artwork."
what does he think about your artwork?
He thinks it's like really cool. Like he's like a big like reason why I'm like even an artist. Like growing up, he would buy all these little art kits and just set me up in front of the TV to watch Bob Ross and paint along.
Was he an artist as well?
Yeah. So he was in school. He was really into the artwork and everything. But then once school ended, like he didn't have the means to continue creating, and so he instead created a family.
That's art too. Now to tell us what we're looking at here behind you.
So behind us we have portraits on the same fabric that Melancholy is created with. And so on the pieces of fabric we have like the tiers of fabric, there's pillow stuffing and magnets attached to the bottom. And then painted on the fabric that's wrinkled and just stapled to the wall is portrait of me in a moment of strife. The paint itself is like a gray and black and white. There is like the outline of the portrait and everything, but it's intentionally left unfinished. So there's only pieces, like there's the eyes, the nose, a bit of the mouth, kind of the cheekbone, neck, just to like lay out the structure and everything. But yeah, it's there to kind of draw your attention and make you look and think.
We'll move over to the last one here. Tell us what it's called and what we're looking at.
So this one is called I Can't Do This Anymore. It's painted on an old piece of fabric that's actually from my prom dress that I made. So you can see on the side there's like it looks like something was cut out of it, and that was like the top for my prom dress. And it's like super wrinkly black like satin color. You can see the outline sketch of the portrait, and then like the other ones, it's like a gray, white, and black painted on the fabric. And it's just the eyes, the nose, a bit of the side of the head, just to kind of show that there's a face, but it's not all there. Oh, and there's a tear on my cheek.
So what if people want to see more of your artwork? Obviously you mentioned the website. Are there opportunities to collaborate with you, or how do people connect and possibly even, because I think you sell products on your, you sell
Yeah.
art on your website, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, so my website's good, stylesbystyles.ca. My Instagram, Art by Styles, and Facebook is Art by Styles. So message me there or email me on my website. Like, then I'll get back to you and we can figure whatever you want to figure out.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You've just listened to artist Leigha Stiles, whose work sits inside Endless Becomings. Visit the Endless Becomings, Explorations in Contemporary Art exhibit at the Ottawa Art Gallery, located on 50 Mackenzie King Bridge in Ottawa, before March 15th, 2026. It's worth your time. This has been Strictly Creative. Until next time.